Hey guys, Tate Henshaw here at Polay+Clark, back with you for the second offering in our Cloud Accounting Client Question Series. Hopefully you enjoyed the first video on how much do I have, where we talked about our accounting partner zero. If you missed that, go back and check that out. For question two, we're going to focus more on accounts payable. And so the question that we chose here is, what's going on with my bills? Now, I don't know if we've ever gotten that specific question asked to us, but what it does is it sort of covers a myriad of questions that we do often get asked, such as, why did you pay that? What is currently due? Can you send me an updated bill list? Can I see that invoice? Why do I need to sign a check, and how can I pay via ACH or direct deposit? That sort of encapsulates a lot of the issues we see. Sometimes you don't want to see an invoice. That's probably for 90% of the bills, but then for one random one you do, you need a little more detail, etc. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how we use our cloud partner to accomplish that. And so if any of those questions does sound familiar, and keep in mind that could be from an internal perspective too, not necessarily a bookkeeper client relationship. It could be a AP clerk and a CFO, or a manager and another employee, etc. If any of those apply to you, maybe you know what gets paid by watching your online bank account. So only when it clears do you know what got paid. You often get confused with what you have approved or paid and what you haven't. We see that a lot, where you send an updated bill list simultaneous to approval emails, and just confusion ensues. Or maybe you get complaints from vendors who don't know when payments have been sent. If that sounds like you, you may be a prime candidate for Bill.com. Bill.com is our accounts payable solution for cloud accounting, and Bill.com does a myriad of things. For this video, we're going to focus in on the payables, but they also are going to manage your documents. They are going to update your accounting software, and they also have a very robust receivables module, which we're not going to focus on today, but just know that this is just the tip of the iceberg for Bill.com with what we're going over today. So why do we use Bill.com? Well, there's three things. Number one, it is efficient. You're going to eliminate check writing. You're going to eliminate check signing. You're not going to have vendor bank information in your possession that obviously creates a security risk. Also, it's going to automatically update your accounting system, so you're not going to end up doing double entry like you might with online banking, bill pay, or different things like that. It's customizable. It generates emails, as we'll see in a few minutes, and those are customizable. You can get an email only on let's say the 2nd and the 19th of the month. You can get an email every time anything happens. So you could get 500 emails a day, or you can get no emails. It's completely user specific, not account specific. So also for approvals, you can have 10 approvers, you can have 1 approver, you can have no approver. Completely customizable, can be based on dollar amounts, can be based on vendor. Payment method, you want to pay by check, great. You want to pay by ACH, fantastic. Different accounting systems. You use Xero, fantastic. You use QuickBooks, it will work with QuickBooks. QuickBooks Online, same thing. Even if you use a lesser known accounting solution. You can export out CSVs or Excel files to import your transactions. Finally, Bill.com is secure. Obviously, they're holding all your bank data. They're holding vendor bank data. That's a security concern. But Bill.com, all their servers are in a guarded locked facility with biometric access. They store your data on redundant servers. As the administrator of your account, you can give different users different roles. And what that does is it only gives them access to certain data that they need to see. So you've got a little bit of internal control there. You're eliminating paper checks, so therefore you're going to eliminate check theft because there's no check to steal. And as you'll see, the way Bill.com pays these things is they draft your bank account and then they pay from their account. The beauty of that is the fact that your account and routing number are never going to be exposed to a vendor for them to manipulate and use for their own purposes. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump into the demo portion. Logged into my demo LastPass account here, and if you're not sure what LastPass is, look forward to a future video in our series about storing passwords and secure info. We're going to jump into Bill.com here, and so you see this is our home page, and there's an invoice going on here. Like I said, we're not going to cover receivables today, but what we want to talk about is obviously getting the bills into Bill.com, approving them, and paying them. So the beauty of Bill.com is it's so flexible. So for example, let's say you have a Comcast bill, which we have here. Okay, so you've got this bill and you want to pay it, obviously. So we can do a couple things with that, as a matter of fact. If we go to our inbox, we could simply take the bill here and we could drag it directly into Bill.com. That would work fine. Or what we see a lot is use your specific Bill.com email. This is customizable when you set up your account. So what we're going to do, we're going to use that, and we're going to actually throw that in there and email this thing in. And that's going to show up in just a second. If you have any vendors that still use fax, you know, maybe you're working with some cavemen or dinosaurs or something like that, you can set up a personalized fax number as well. And one of the other things is you can actually enter a bill with your mobile. I'm going to show you that really quick. So here's my my iPhone 6 screen. Open up Bill.com. It's Touch ID enabled for security purposes. So here we're logged into our same demo account. In the top right, we've got the plus sign. So I'm actually going to just take a picture of this Home Depot receipt where I bought some yard materials. and that's going to come straight in here. If I say this is for a reimbursement, just a reimburse invoice date, due date, expenses, 132.29. And our account, this syncs with your accounting system, so there's no worries about what accounts do I need to put in here. Put in here, put a description. And then if you look at the bottom, there's approvers. So we're going to say, yeah, I need someone to approve this. So I'm going to say Polay+Clark, our demo, is going to approve it. Alright. And then we're just going to click done. And that's going to show up in our system. Now, if we go here, we see our Comcast bill has now shown up. So I'm going to show you the entry screen. See all the info you can put in. I'm going to call this 14/12/19. Cable bill. Call this utilities. Just notice you can split it. You can put notes in here. It's very, very customizable. Same thing, I'm going to make myself the approver here. Just notice, as I mentioned earlier, I can have as many or as few approvers as I need. So we're going to save that. So that's our bill entry. Just know you don't have to have a PDF. You can just send in a simple text email and say, pay Joe Smith $100. You can use that to make a bill off of. The beautiful thing when we go back and we look at the history is that all the documents are still going to be attached to these bills forever. So when we go back and look at that Comcast payment, and if it looks a little funky, or probably the Home Depot one would be even more important, with it being a reimbursement, you're going to say, well, what in the heck did we reimburse this guy $132 for? You're going to go back, that source document is going to be attached every single time. So it's great for transparency and not having to go through all your files to figure out what happened. I do want to mention really quick, if you saw the last video, I had the tablet pulled up, but there's no specific tablet app for Bill.com. The reason for that is their site is optimized for a tablet browser, so you're going to get pretty much the exact same usage out of the tablet browser as you are out of the desktop browser. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into approval. If you'll notice here, we've got two bills to approve. So here we go. Here's our two invoices. There's all kind of different ways to do this. What we can do is a slideshow approval. So like I said, normally the approver and the bill entry person are not going to be the same individual, so it's going to make more sense when you go to approve. You want to see this bill and see what we're talking about. So we could approve here, we could deny, we could say send Tate a message to say, what is this, for example. We could edit the bill ourselves. We could approve a different amount. We can skip this one, say I want to go back to that one. You'll see here's the Home Depot receipt. That was slightly shaky when I was taking the picture, looks like. Same thing, approve, deny, skip, edit, etc. I didn't approve those because I want you guys to see the real power of this, which is from a mobile perspective. So, a lot of times your approvers are your higher ups in the organization. They're out, they're making calls, they're seeing clients, etc., whatever it may be. So what I want you guys to see is that when we come in here to our mobile now, we've got 2 bills to approve. So if I jump into all bills, it's going to pull up our 2 bills. Now here's the cool thing. If I swipe this to the right, it's going to approve it. I don't have to look at it. So let's say Comcast. That's a bill I see every month. I know it's about this amount. I don't need to look at the actual document. That's just going to slow me down. I'm trying to get somewhere to a new meeting. I'm just going to approve that bad boy, and it's going to show as approved. When I look at this guy, though, I don't understand what this reimbursement's for, so I want to see a little more detail. So if we look at the top right, and it's even telling me what to do here, I can pull that up. I can see exactly. I can see, okay, he did get some fabric and staples, and got a sprayer. Oh yeah, that's for the front of the office. He had to update that. So I can come in and approve. I could deny and say no, that's for your house, that wasn't correct. I could come in here, I can make a note, I can say, Tate, what is this, for example, add that, and that will send me a notification. But now that I've seen this, I realize, okay, yeah, that is approved. So I'm going to approve that as well. So it's that simple, it's that straightforward, and it's that real time. If I would have had this screen pulled up when I entered the bills, you would immediately have seen a notification on my phone that there's a new bill ready for approval. And so just contrast and compare that with whatever system you're using now. If you're emailing bills around, or full bill list, or calling, or whatever it may be, I'm almost positive whatever system you're using is not as fast as what this system is. Also, the email capability. So if you want to have an email sent to you every time a bill is ready for approval, we can do that. If you want a daily summary, we can do that. If you want a daily summary only on Mondays, we can do that. If you want one only on the 1st and the 15th of the month, we can do that. There's really no end to the customization of the notification settings. So that's pretty much most of the approvals. One other thing I will cover really quick. You can select default approvers. You can select it by bill threshold. So let's say the CFO is fine with the accounts payable or accounting manager approving anything under $1,000, but he wants to approve anything over $1,000. No problem at all. If he wants to approve any reimbursements, and someone else approves utilities, and someone else approves purchases, that's 100% fine as well. That is all accounted for in this system. One thing I did want to mention really quick. I'm sure you're thinking, well, how do I know what I can approve when I don't know how much money I have? Well, if you're asking that question, it sounds like you haven't watched our first video. which is how much do I have, which is going to show you how to find that out by using our cloud accounting partner Xero. So I recommend that you check that out. Now we've got the bills in, we've got the bills approved, so now we're ready to pay them. So if we go to pay these, you can see here's my note. What is this? But everything's approved. If you're paying it and you're still sort of questioning it, you can still jump back into this at any time and see all the detail. We got an audit trail of when it was approved exactly. Description. You can see that this is unpaid. We could pull the last 5 bills for this vendor. It's just really, you can go as far down the rabbit hole as you want. Now, so obviously these are going to be paid by check. If you're watching this, if you're not familiar with Bill.com, you're probably thinking, okay, well, I got to print a check out, I got to go get it signed, I've got to put it in an envelope, and I got to mail it out. Well, no, you're 100% wrong. This is actually Bill.com is going to print the checks for you. They're going to mail them. They're going to throw an image of it in here so that you can see it. They're going to let you know when it clears. They're going to basically have all that history here. They're going to pull the funds required for the check from your bank account via ACH to their account, and then they make all the payments, which is what I mentioned for security, because then when the vendor receives the check, it doesn't even have your information there as far as routing number, account number. So that's great, but you know, checks take a little bit of time going in the mail, and you're thinking, well, you know, more likely than not, I'm going to have a lot of urgent checks, for example. Well, that's 100% fine as well. Bill.com has a feature called Pay Faster, where for additional fee you can actually send a check overnight through their system. So either way, you just click a button and it's done. So that's great, but you know, you probably got some vendors that would love to be paid by ACH. You'd love to pay vendors by ACH, but maybe your bank system for sending ACHs is a little complicated, it's a little pricey, it's confusing because they're charging you by batches, etc. Well, Bill.com is aware of that, and they're actually going to show you how to do that. So here's our reimbursement vendor. You can see they have an email here, etc. If you want to set up e-payments, which is Bill.com's version of ACH, that's the terminology they use. Let me show you how uncomplicated this is. Click the button. It's going to send the vendor an email from Bill.com. It's all pre-populated. You can edit this if you want and update it. But basically, once I send this over, they're going to get the email. They're going to go set up a free Bill.com account for receiving money. They are going to plug in their own bank information into Bill.com, and then they'll be ready to send e-payments to, basically. So there's nothing you need to do as far as putting their bank info in. Now, if you're saying, well, I already have a lot of that information, that is still doable here. If you click, you already have their bank info. So, but the beauty of that from a security perspective as well, if that vendor, let's say there's fraud on their bank account, they're not going to come to you and say, hey, I gave you my bank info, now there's fraud, I think maybe you're involved, because you never had their bank info, only Bill.com had their bank info. And so Bill.com, you're able to leverage their security, their biometric servers, and all that great stuff, versus having to account for that yourself. E-payments are normally a 2-day timetable. If you're saying, well, that's not going to cut it for me, I need next day, that's fine. Again, similar to the overnight check, for a minimal fee, you're able to do a 1-day ACH, which is actually much cheaper than most wires and things like that. So you can pay anyone by either e-payment or check the next day. So anything other than same day, you're able to take care of in this system with no manual processes on your end. No more FedEx envelopes. No more crazy bank systems. So it's really going to save you time. I think you've already seen how it's going to save you time on the approval process as well. So if you need to run something through very quickly, even if your approver is on the road, you're going to be able to do that, no problem. All your payment history is kept here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mark these as paid just so we have something there. Just know that this is going to sync with your accounting system. As I mentioned, you're not going to need to do anything as far as going and coding things in your accounting system. It's going to automatically come over, and so once you pay these, you're done. That's all you need to do. So here's your payments. It's going to tell you all the info. It's going to if they're sending a check, it's going to tell you, it's going to show you an image of that once that goes out. If you send an e-payment, it's going to tell you when it's going to hit their bank account. One other thing that they're going to do, if you have an email plugged in for your vendor, when you send payment, they're going to get notified. So I'm sure you've had multiple situations where your vendor is confused, asking when they're going to be paid, while you've already paid them. It's just in process, whether that's ACH or whether it's a check in the mail. Well, this system, they're going to know when it was sent or when it was processed, and they're going to know pretty closely when it's going to arrive. A couple other things just to note: you can set up recurring bills in here. You can add documents to your vendors. You can add documents for your company. You can actually pay these bills using your mobile app. Very similar to the approval process. For time purposes, we're not going to go into all those things, but just know that like I mentioned at the beginning, this is just the very tip of the iceberg for Bill.com, which is a very, very powerful accounts payable software. And in my opinion, there's no competitor on the market that can compare with it. If this is something that you're interested in, something that you'd like some help with, please email us, give us a call, and we'd love to help you. So that's going to conclude our second video in our Cloud Accounting Client Question series, and hopefully you'll stay tuned for the rest of the series. Thank you very much.